Biggest pet peeve is when you think you have been doing a video and you look down and you ain't did nothing. So I'm sorry, y'all, I got to start from the beginning, but I really been talking for like 10 minutes. Anyway, this is Family of Fiancé Season 2, Episode 3, and this was really a good episode. We have Akil and we have Alexis. So let me just start, because I kind of got off track anyway, so let me just... Akil and Alexis met. Alexis was at work. She was a cashier at the gas station. He came in, I guess, to get some gas. He started flirting with her. Boom. They started dating. There's an 8-year age difference. He's 8 years older than her. And their biggest issues is that neither family likes the other one. His family doesn't like her. They feel like she's a little bougie. They feel like she thinks she's better than them. Well, I don't feel like the whole family feels like that. His sister feels like that. But his family kind of feels like they don't like him, so it's kind of like they feel like they're better than him kind of thing. Her family, they feel like, that he's disrespectful. They feel like he's a bum, and they feel like he's a thief. So we're going to get into all of that. For Alexis's family, it's her mom, her sister, and her stepdad. For Akil's family, it's his sister, his aunt, and his grandmother. So here goes some of the issues before they get there. Alexis's father, his stepfather, but he never make no distinction, so I ain't gonna make no distinction. But he's a pastor. So part of the problem they have is the fact that they live together. The other part of the problem they have is that they don't know exactly what he does for a living. They know well, actually, they don't even think that he does have a steady job. I guess they feel like he just kind of does odds and ends type stuff, and they don't really know what he does. So that is a problem for them. Their third issue is they feel like he's disrespectful. There was a situation where he was cursing around the mother. The mother asked him to stop cursing. He basically had the attitude of, I'm a grown man. I can say what I want to say. I can talk how I want to talk. And then she said something about, well, you can't come in my house cursing. And his response was, fine, then I won't come to your house. And now and this is the stuff that he's honoring, right? We're going to get to that in a minute. But this is the kind of stuff he does to be honoring. When she goes to visit her family, he goes with her, but then he sits in the car. He don't get out of the car. My thing is, if you're going to be an asshole, just stay home. But what you're doing is you want me to know you're there. You want me to know that you're proving a point that you're not going to come in my house because you're going to drive all the way over there, but sit in the car and not come in. Listen. That's an asshole move. And I know because that's something I would do. Because sometimes I can be an asshole. Okay? So, the other thing was there was this whole thing with the taxes. The sister feels like he stole part of her refund because... Okay. Alexis was supposed to do her sister's taxes. She did do her sister's taxes. However, she's just learning how to do taxes. One of his businesses is that he does taxes, right? She only got her sister a $750 refund. He looked at it and said, I can get your sister more. She said, fine. So he ended up doing the sister's taxes, but he did the sister's taxes under his business, as a part of his business. And he said he sent her an invoice. He said he sent her an invoice on the front end, not the back end, but it wasn't like he made sure, he didn't have a conversation with the sister. He thought that the sister understood when I sent you the invoices what I'm charging you. He ended up getting the sister $3,000 instead of $750. And I guess the way he does his taxes is that people's refunds come to him, I guess, because basically he took his $500. And so when the sister saw her refund and then saw what she was supposed to get back, it was $500 less. So she was like, he stole my money. Now, the way I do my taxes, the person who prepares my taxes, we E-Fi. I mean, it's electronically filed and it's direct deposited. So they don't touch nothing that I don't want them to have. But clearly he does his business differently. And somehow or another, he was able to get his $500 out of her refund. Now, his attitude is, first of all, that's my business. I charge everybody. His aunt was like, yeah, he charges me. And his thing was, I got you $1,300 more than what she was going to get you. So if I took $500, I don't see what the problem is. But it sounds like Alexis didn't fully explain it to her sister. And so the sister just felt like he stole my money. All right. So the families show up, and when her mother walked to the door, Her mama didn't even acknowledge him. Like, she walked past him and was just like, I said, oh, that's not very godly. Mother of the church. First mother. What they call it? First lady. First lady. My bad. First lady. I said, how you just gonna not speak to the boy? So, when they were going around the room doing their blessing ceremony, his side of the family, I felt, because his sister was not playing. His sister was coming up in there like, you could tell she was in defense mode. She was coming up in there to defend her brother. Okay. Now, Auntie said, listen, I think he has some stuff he need to work on because he has some issues he need to work through, and I don't know if he's ready to marry anybody. Grandmother said, I just think y'all need more time. Sister was just like, they don't like my brother, so I don't like them. I mean, she didn't say it like that, but that was pretty much her whole affect. But then when they got to her side of the family, the mother called him a bum, sister called him a thief, and I was just like, my problem is this, and I've said this before, being honest doesn't mean you have to be mean. And so immediately the sister and the auntie sort of kind of jumped bad, and the mother was like, I didn't interrupt y'all, I wasn't rude, I didn't interrupt y'all when y'all spoke, and they were like, you right. But they also didn't call your daughter no names either. They didn't call your daughter out her name. And I feel like that was unnecessary for you to do. But whatever. So the task, y'all know she get the same damn task. Well, at least on the first night. The second night, she had something a little different for him. The second day, she had something a little different. But we'll get to that. So they... And his first, and you know what? His attitude when he first got there was basically, I'm only doing this for her because it's important to her. I could care less. But I think he has, what you're going to find out is that he definitely has walls. He definitely has walls that he has erected that go back to his childhood. She made mention of it. Tracy made mention of it. So there's some childhood trauma that they've had to deal with. Right? And I feel like him and his sister went through some stuff. So she cooked dinner with his family. With his family. And then her family, they were able to ask him questions. So on her side where they were cooking, that's where we got the full explanation of what happened with the taxes. And once she explained what happened with the taxes, the fact that she didn't get her sister back as much, he took over, but he did it under his company. He sent the invoice. It made a lot more sense than just, he stole my money. And the family even said, okay, that makes a lot more sense. And it makes sense why and her sister said she felt, well, I'm getting ahead of myself again, child. Okay. Now, on the other side, the family was asking him questions. But see, the family was, I feel like, because they were ready to dislike him, I feel like they were asking him, I feel like both sides were asking some very broad questions. Like they asked her something like, do you really think you love my brother? Like, what? She clearly must think so if they can get married. But then they asked but they were asking the same types of questions on his side, why are you so disrespectful? I mean, that wasn't one of them, but it was questions like that. Now, one of the questions they got to was about the job. Because he said that he dug his heels in with the whole tax thing. And then with the job. He was like, what you mean, what's my job? I work. And the mother was like, I need you to be more specific. What you mean you work? Like, I need you to be more specific than I work. He was like, I work for the city. She was like, well, Alexis told us that you work for the railroads. You're a welder, work for the railroads. He was like, nah, I work for the city. They were like, well, what do you do? He was like, I work. And I just felt like he was being so honorary that he couldn't give them an answer. Like, I don't see what the problem was. He was like, what you mean? He was like, I do a lot of things. Like, I work for the city. I drive. I do this. I do that. I do know how to weld, but it ain't what y'all think. I done worked at the 99-cent store. I do a lot of things. And I was just like, but you know what it is they want to know, and why are you being so difficult about it? And so they dropped it. But of course, all you're doing is reinforcing what they think about you, that they think you a bum and you don't have no job. So then we had dinner that night. The whole issue of the job came up again. And they were asking Alexis, like, you told us one thing, he told us something different. He said he worked for the city. You said he's a welder. And she was like, why you can't just tell them what you do? Like, because I'm sure whatever it is, there's probably a slight discrepancy. And she didn't. It doesn't sound like she lied to her parents about what he does. It sounds like he's playing word games, and she knows it. And she was like, why you can't just tell them? He was like, what you mean why I can't tell them? I work. I work. I got a job. I work. And she was like, and then the whole thing with the sister, the mother was like, well, the two of them aren't as close as they used to be, and I feel like, basically she was like, I feel like she's letting him come between her relationship with her sister. And she was like, I'm not letting anybody come between my relationship with my sister. So she ended up getting up from the table crying. And her sister came after her. And him and his sister came to check on her, and the sister was like, well, can we have a moment? Which was valid. They were having a moment. They were trying to work it out. And they were able to work it out. But it was a needed conversation. And while they're doing this, he's outside with his sister. And his sister's like, they real emotional. Like, I can't deal with that. Like, all that crying and stuff, I just can't do that. She was like, I just can't, they bougie, they emotional, they just do too much. She was like, I ain't with it. Like, if you gonna marry her, that's your business, but I ain't coming to the wedding. And he went back to her and was like, so when they met with Tracy the next day, he was saying, basically, he was like, that's my ride or die. Like, if my sister is not with it, I don't know what I'm going to do because I need her in my corner. He was like, if my grandmother and my auntie ain't with it, that's one thing. But my sister, I can't. I need her in my corner. And she said, that's exactly how I feel about my family. And I think something clicked. In that moment, I think something clicked with him. So Tracy was like, so the mother, the other thing was the mother asked to see her. So her and her mother had a conversation, and her mother was like, well, what did I do wrong that make you want to make these bad decisions with men? And she was like, I don't think I make bad decisions with men. Like, what you talking about? I mean, what is it that I did to make you want to date these bums? And she was like, he's not a bum. So, child, they had a moment. So the next day, Tracy was like, you seem to have a really hard time letting go of your feelings and your emotions and being vulnerable. Like, you have these walls up. You don't know how to tap into your feelings. And, and Alexis was saying, yeah, he's not very emotional. He's not very expressive. He just, he's just very, And as they were talking, I think Alexis started having some serious realizations about him being emotionally unavailable and how much of it was connected to childhood trauma and how much of it was a choice that he was making. And so when they got done meeting with her, she went in the bathroom and she was crying again. And you saw him walk up to the door and knock and then walk away like, I can't even deal with this. Like, I can't deal with the crying. But Tracy gave them a challenge to go to an improv class where they had to basically play off of their emotions and go through these different emotions and stuff like that. And they got there, and Alexis and Akil went first. And he was so good. They had to do anger, and they had to go from a scale of like 1 to 20, and they would just throw out numbers, and he had to keep amping up his anger. And they were like supposed to be at a restaurant eating dinner. It was funny. It was so good, and it was so funny. And Alexis shut all the way down because, again, what she said was, so what I realized was, he can be emotional. He chooses not to be emotional. And I think some things were clicking for her. He ended up being the star of the class. Like, he was so good. He was able to connect with everybody. He had scenes with her sister. He had scenes with her mother. And they were able to all kind of have, and it was fun. And they got a chance to laugh at each other and with each other. And it was that was a really good activity. Now, Tracy, I don't want to see this activity every damn week, though. But it was really, really good. And I think it was very appropriate for this group because everybody had so many walls up and everybody was just in their feelings. It really loosened them up. It really, really did. And I think they were able to see, that they weren't so bougie and they weren't so ghetto and they weren't so this and so that. So when they got back to the house, Akil went to speak to her mother. He asked to speak to her. They had a side conversation, and he apologized. He said, you know what? He said, I was wrong. I was disrespectful to you. And you're right. I can watch my language around you. I don't have to use the profanity when you're around. And I was wrong for handling it the way I handled it. And I really hope you can accept my apology, you know. And I really felt like it was sincere. I do. I felt like it was sincere. And the mother told her, the mother said, listen, I want to like you, but I'm not going to accept anything from you. I'm not going to accept anything you give me. Like, but I do want to like you. I want this, you know, I don't want to be at odds with you and have my daughter in the middle. But she also told him, but I need to see it. Like, I hear your words, but I need to see it. But I'm willing to start fresh, and I'm willing to work through this with you. And that's all you can really ask of somebody. And he came down and he told, when they were eating dinner, he told him, he said, listen, we talked and I apologized, and we agreed that we're gonna start fresh, we're gonna clear the slate, and that we're gonna try. We're gonna work on it. And you could tell it really, that helped alleviate a lot of the tension. The stepfather said, he said, you know, I want to treat you like I want to look at you like you my son. I want you to be my son, is what he said. He said, but I'm not going to treat you any different than I treat my own son. And I said, now that's deep. That's deep. So the next day for the ceremony, Alexis had to have, before the ceremony, I should say, Alexis had to have a conversation with him, because they when they were meeting with Tracy, Alexis said, you know, what I realized yesterday was that him being emotionally unattached is as much of a choice as it is a decision, and that he can do better. He chooses not to do better, and it's not. And she wasn't saying it with any malice. She was saying, for so long he kept his emotions inside. He has to learn how to open up. But her thing was, but I think we do need to deal with this shit before we open up. She said, we need to deal with the baggage we already have before we put more baggage on top of it. She said, I don't want to get married. I want a good marriage. I want a happy marriage, but I also know it can't start and we already haven't processed and dealt with what we need to deal with. And so the ultimate thing was they decided to postpone the wedding. They're still together. They're still going to live together. And what we found out is that they are in couples therapy. But what I thought was great was the family was saying, listen, we all agree. We like that idea. And when y'all are ready, we are here and we support it. It was a good episode. It was a really, really good episode. Anyway, y'all let me know what y'all think. Drop it in those comments. Peace.